everybody, welcome to our webinar. Okay, let's see if you can hear me, if everything is okay. Just a quick mic check with you, and tonight we're going to be talking about this very simple scene that we've got installed for you. So quick mic check, please let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. For those of you that just joined in, my name is Mike and I'm a teacher for VizAcademy. VizAcademy is a rendering school that will teach you how to create beautiful 3D renders in less than 7 weeks. So if you want to know more about our school, go to VizAcademy Co. UK. You can also chat with our bot, and there you're going to be getting the most random answers ever. But also check out our available dates, because everything we do, we expand upon our main training. So this webinar is going to be one of the special webinars that we have installed for you. So one thing that I absolutely need to make clear here is that we're going to have two parts of this encounter. So part one is the one which you're currently part of. So we're going to be talking about our 3D scene that everybody can get their hands on. So we decided that last time I felt that it would be okay to share a couple of models with everybody. Hey Shimon, nice to have you. Lela, hello Ben, hi, nice to see you Mohammed. So guys, I'm so happy. I'm also thankful for so many new members just recently. Once we posted this new video, this just skyrocketed. I mean, the number of members, and I'm super thankful for that. So thank you so much for being with us. And as I was saying, everybody can get their hands on this model. So quick and very nice shout out to all of our members, because they suggested that we also share the scene with you. But one thing that I want you to also know is that currently you're going to be able to download this whole model from our members section, or you can find it in our posts, which is here. That's pretty much where you can find it. So you can see that you will be able to download the scene that we've created this animation on, but the catch is that our members will be getting a little bit more, because this is going to be just the bare bone 3D models. All 3D models that you can see here were provided by the great catalog, and this is my favorite gem for quite a while. And pretty much it's your new repository for 3D models, and they have plenty of amazing options out there. So I recommend checking them out. No pushing, but definitely this is what I use. So why not? Also, we got a couple of scheduled posts, so just a quick introduction to you guys, because I wanted to make sure that everybody's going to know that our members are getting more, and that is obviously the full scene with textures, with models, with lighting, everything in. So this is going to be super duper cool. Hello, can you do a masterclass with Blender? I mean, I can, but I do prefer using 3ds Max, so we're going to probably stay with it. Hello Aaron, nice to have you. Thank you for joining us. And now let's go ahead and just quickly show you what our members are getting, because this is something that I want to put a bit of emphasis on. Not only you're going to gain access to so many videos from the past, but also you're going to be able to visit the special playlist for just the members. And suddenly my channel is not a member, because I am supposed to be gaining the members. So I'm just going to show you what's on the homepage, and this whole section, members only videos, it's packed with various videos and various elements that you might want to enjoy. But without any further ado, I think it's going to be good to just get into it. And once again, welcome. My name is Mike, and this webinar is brought to you by VizAcademy. So tonight I'm going to be trying to is the great catalog better than 3D Sky? I would say it's comparable. I cannot say better or worse because to be fair, at the moment 3D Sky does have a little bit broader library, but both services are amazing, and I must say that currently, due to the fact that they have their own plugin, I love using it more because this is something that I prefer. So yeah, CG Merger is pretty much going to be somewhat like Chaos Cosmos, but built in and connected to your account on that service. So really cool. I'm working with V-Ray, but I want to learn Corona. Ahmed, so if you do, please make sure to stick with us. Super excited to be there. Okay, nice, thank you. So Asha, thank you for joining. Now let's get into it because I want to go over the stuff we're going to be talking about and the stuff I'm going to be showing to you, because that's definitely what you all came here for. So you know that we're going to be talking not only about how the objects were made, but I would like to also talk about a little bit about what we're going for. So tonight I'm going to show you a couple of those animations that we created. I'm not going to be showing you everything, but we're going to expand on this knowledge during our members section. So I think everybody's going to enjoy it a little bit. All that you're going to see is pretty much just a half of a lesson for our animation training, or part of it. So we're going to just go over it and we're going to try to do some extra work. So once again, just so we know what we're doing here, this is the image we're aiming at, and right now we only have our main elements added in. So 3D modeling. In this webinar, we're going to try to avoid as much 3D modeling, but I'm going to walk you through the most important elements in this, because most of the models were downloaded from the great catalog. Some were edited, and I would like you to consider watching our previous webinars to get the hang of things, because I want to make sure that we go through the topics that are the most important tonight. So let's get into it. So first thing first, I want to emphasize that whenever you're going to be working with your floor, and this is for all of you that are kind of newbies and beginners, you want to start using Floor Generator. Hello, Łukasz. Now, what I want to emphasize is that you should be using Floor Generator, and it's extremely easy to do so. So things that I want you to now get out of this webinar as a first thing, because we did model plenty of restaurants, we did model plenty of objects. So I want you to jump to our previous webinar, also the day one, where we went through a very similar model, but I want to just go through some of the elements that we haven't, Sevan, hello, that we want, what I want you to just be aware of, because I know for a fact that some of you are, well, new here, so let's just get into the most nitty-gritty elements. So first I'm going to create some kind of shape. This could be just your spline that you're going to draw, or this could be some sort of 3D model that's going to be planar. You can get this plugin, the Floor Generator, from CG Source. There are two versions, a free version that everybody uses and the paid version that I use. So I would definitely recommend you to get the paid version, because currently 3ds Max doesn't have the, let's say, easier way of creating floor than that. So I would say that this is something that you're definitely going to enjoy. Floor Generator doesn't require a lot of thought, because as long as you're going to respect one rule, and that is always add your floor generator to a flat object, and flat object means a plane or some shape that you drawn that is flat. If you're going to be adding it to a box, you're going to crash 3ds Max, and that's the whole rule that you have to remember. So now let's go ahead and go to floor generator, and just to let you get a little bit of a hang of it, I would like to emphasize one thing. Now show the end result. I'm going to press 1, and currently I'm in editable spline, although we do see the floor generator working. And I'm going to try to make sure that we go to the fillet. By the way, guys, meanwhile, you can ask questions, but I'm going to try to do the Q&A at the end of our webinar. So hold on to those, or make sure to post them now with short title questions, so I'll be able to get back to them as soon as possible. So it would be really good. Once again, I'd like to say hello to our new members. I can see that some of you are joining in as we speak, so that's really fantastic. Now, again, you can do pretty much everything with those kind of objects, and there's really no limitation to it. As long as you don't overstep that one limitation that I mentioned. Now, the cool thing about it is that you can also go for new shapes. So for example, I can go for start a new shape, circle, and draw it like this. Well, at the moment, it's not going to work that well. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the floor generator, go for editable spline, attach, and move this in. So this is how powerful the floor generator is. It's almost as if you would be using some sort of magic in 3ds Max. So it's very simple, easy, and nonsense free, and this is what I love this plugin. So I strongly advise you all to get your hands on it, because why not? And today I'm going to be walking you through the modeling and not exactly showing you the modeling, but if you would be interested in some elements or particular element of our scene, please let me know. I'm going to be able to spend a couple of extra seconds on it. Hey Mike, what a crowd. Yes, hello Mikasa, nice to have you. Thank you so much for joining. Whoa, nice. I just noticed how many people are here. Hello, hey mom, can you hear me? Now, so nice. Oh, now the stakes are a little bit higher. Now let's go ahead and convert this object to editable poly and talk about the walls and all the elements that we have here. So this is just a simple element. Typically, you want to make sure to leave a little bit of space below your arches, so your floor is not just going to be ending on some sort of a gap, right? Because that's going to be a bit weird. So we want to allow this to go slightly lower. And how do we do this kind of objects? First of all, I like doing them this way. You create a rectangle like this, and really it's so simple. Then we've got two options, either circle or another rectangle. I'm going to go for a simpler one, start a new shape off, and we're going to create a rectangle. Wow. Now convert this object into editable spline, which it already was, but I want to reset this. And this is a very important element before you continue. Here you're going to see those extra green elements, right? Those are Beziers. So in many cases, those are going to have a slight impact on how some of the properties are applied. So if I'm going to, for example, go for fillet, you're going to notice that it's not exactly perfect. It's good, but it depends on the amount of Bezier we're going to have. So it would be recommended to right click, go for corner, and although the difference is going to be extremely subtle, you're going to see that the difference is here, because previous time it ended a little bit further than that, and this is really going to be that super simple trick. So the whole thing is going to take you approximately 30 seconds, because now I can add a shell or extrude, and you can see that this is how I've created this wall. And the idea is that I can copy it and now have full editing control over all the aspects of my wall without really thinking about it. So I can go to editable spline, go for show end result. And now what I don't like about this is once I'm going to be rendering this in high resolution, I'm going to be noticing a bit of a problem. Here, I need this to be nice and smooth, and if I leave it this way, we will be able to count those edges, right? So what do? We go to interpolation and change this number. Don't be afraid of higher numbers. And I don't mean 16, I don't mean 24, something like 32, 64 will be absolutely okay. What does it mean? It means that between this vertex and that vertex, we're going to have 64 breaking points extra. So all in all, we're going to have a very dense mesh. And this is pretty much the value that was used while modeling this object. And most of those elements are done the exact same way. So I'm going to reserve the right to not show you all the walls because let's be honest, moving a box around and positioning the elements is going to be the easiest thing ever. Plus you're getting the 3D model. Also, the thing that I want to mention is that if you will be on a lookout, you're also going to be able to get this floor plan if you want to test all of those techniques to pretty much just create this object on your own. It's not going to require any kind of special super skills. It's just so you get to practice with us. Now, hello, Saifu, Karim, thank you. Hi dear, big fan, hi, Archlife. Now, which software is this? This is 3ds Max and we're VizAcademy. My name is Mike, welcome. Okay, so let's continue. Now, what I wanted to the reason why I'm rushing through the modeling part is to not bore you and not to make you snooze. Here you can see that we kind of didn't go for as many elements as we typically would. So in some cases, a model like this might be a bit of a problem. So a cool thing to do is to use Turbo Smooth on top of it to smoothen it out. And the whole thing was done the easiest way around. So again, it wasn't some sort of magic. It was just a rectangle like this, converted to editable spline, pressed 1. Now we're going to be able to repress the corner. We go for fillet. Here we've got this option. Then we go number 3, and on top of that I'm going to go for outline. On top of that I'm going to just go for the next step, which is going to be convert to editable poly. At the moment you can see that the model is really neatly doing its job. So all I need to do is add a shell to it or any other modifier that will help me. So I'm just going to clickety-click on that so I can get my hands on this modifier. Sometimes it would be smart to save your work along the way because you don't want to crash. Now, let's go ahead. Oh well, if you do crash, you want to have a save. Convert this object to a poly, and you can see that the edges are kind of missing in between. How do we do that so that we've got to get them back? The easiest and fastest way to do it is to delete this element or select those two and go to bridge like this. Now it's perfectly aligned, bridge, and that's it. Also, you can actually activate the bridge and continue with it, but this is going to be just black magic waiting for us to test out some other time. Now, chamfer, just for the sake of having some border protection, this is a very important element of 3D to have that nice border protection or supportive loops, depending on how you would name it. And now we're going to just go for this part that goes slightly down, and I can go Alt 1, Alt 1, Alt 1, Alt 1, and suddenly we got this model ready. I mean, we kind of need to add one more chamfer. Perfect, I guess we're ready. Now I can re-add the Turbo Smooth, and voila, we've got the same object that's going to be used as your lamp or some kind of chandelier. It's all about that. Whenever I start rendering, my CPU temp spike. So yeah, depending on your computer, it's going to spike or not. It's all about your system specs. Let's see. Quick question from our audience, just to not dwell on it too long. Can I do negative extrude? Yes, it's that simple. So we can just click here and we can go for negative, positive, negative, positive. That's it, and it's going to be related to your object's normals. I think everything is explained, right? Because all the objects are downloadables from 3D Sky, or sorry, 3D. See, this is how much I interchange them. The great catalog. Because those models are super simple, I think it's going to be actually smarter to get into the part that everybody was waiting for, the lighting. So before we get to animation, right? Now, a scene as simple as this is not going to require a lot of thought, and well, it requires only thought, so thoughts and prayers. But now, what I would like to really do here is show you the easiest setup for this kind of scenes. First of all, we need to set our rendering to Corona, then we go to Scene, And the first thing we do is just click on from the environment to single map. In many cases, this is going to be enough for us to already see some really nice effects. Hey Mohammed, nice to see you. How are you? Okay, so this is definitely not enough, but in some cases you might want to go for auto adjustment, and look at that, it suddenly made it usable. I mean, we know that there is a light balance that will allow us to make this scene look good, but this is not what I want to stop on. I want to change this into an actual map. So we're going to select something. Hi Maisa. Hey Maisa, one of my students. Nice. Hi, nice to see you. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be clicking on this node map, and we're going to now have the material map browser. To make this super simple, I'm only going to be selecting Corona Sky. Again, I want you to just remember one thing. Working with Corona is not about being a rocket scientist. It's not about being some sort of, I don't know, genius that needs to remember absolutely everything about the software. Quite contrary, you have to be a dummy like me, and you just have to enjoy it enough to remember stuff. Yoko, hey, how are you? Oh my god, so many of my students. Ronak, hey, I'm so glad to have you guys. So, as for the sky, we're just going to do the bare minimum. So, show video frame buffer. You can now see that it's very bluey. And Abdul, hey, so I've got this done. Now, if I click again to auto adjust, there's the way, right? So all I need to do now is work with my tone mapping a little bit, and maybe we're going to be working with turbidity. I can clear out the turbidity, so it's going to be a little bit more bluey or cleaner in some cases. So it's going to take us approximately 15 seconds, or I can do the opposite, where I'm just going to have the maximum turbidity. At the same time, I'm going to have a warmer looks in my tone mapping. So here you can see that I neutralized the lighting to not even emphasize some sort of desaturation. It's all about just simple solutions. Now, on top of that, I'm going to still click on the auto adjustment, and I'm going to lower the exposure. So this way, I'm going to just have a little bit of fun, and this way, I don't need to do anything with the scene any further. Done. The lighting is super simple, and a scene like this, because it's so impressive, it's mostly about the colors, it's mostly about the objects and the composition. So how about we talk about that animation part that I promised to you. So this is going to be something that I would definitely like to talk about, because again, it's not going to be a bad idea to do so. By the way, some of you will be thinking, hey, not all the models are, let's say, provided by the great catalog, and you might be correct. I mean, you are correct, because some of those models will be available on a different platform, and I'm going to show you what platform that is. Just let me log into my own platform, our own platform, and where is it? Oh yeah, it's here. Now, this is me. Hi. Now, freebies. You click here, freebies. So first you need to create an account on our VizAcademy educational platform. Then you go to the freebies here, click on that, tutorials, 3D models, and you're going to find a couple of models. Hey, remember this one? We made a webinar on it. Also, you're going to be able to download this beautiful bathroom, a couple of parametric elements, and also decorative set that is quite nice, I guess, but also this beautiful set that was created by one of our staff members, and you can just get your hands on it. It's a freebie, so enjoy, because you're going to have a bit of fun there. When I do a negative extrude, when I do some unwanted polygon renaming, what do I do in this case? I don't understand your question, honestly, so let's wait for it for the Q&A, but Hossam, please make sure to wait for the rest. So somebody asked, is this webinar going to be record it. At the moment, we don't know if it's going to be available on our YouTube, so I'm going to just say that I enjoy doing those lives, so you definitely want to at least consider that. So let's, watching. So let's just go ahead and have some fun with that animation. I want to first walk you through the most simplest thing ever, and we're just going to go ahead and try out one of those animations. Which one was it? Oh, this one. So I want to show you how to create this nice animation of all of those elements at once. So some of you that are new to 3ds Max will be quite amazed, but also some of you that are already quite seasoned will probably say, hey, I know what it is, and let's just get into it. Alt1, thank you for that. Now, let's get into it because animation. So before you get to animations, you want to click on this area, time configuration, and set the timer or the length of your animation to have some kind of idea what you will be working on. So remember that typically we calculate that approximately 30 frames is going to be 1 second. I want my animation to be, let's say 4 seconds. So it's math, and in that case I'm going to type in end time as 120, rescale time or just end time and OK. So I'm going to now have a little bit longer time frame. Now what I want you to consider is to not make any animations or any kind of simulations in your main scene, not for the sake of it being impossible or slowing down for some reason. It's just that sometimes having very heavy assets in your scene will slow down the whole process of saving the scene, and it would be good to transfer it to a different scene. But this, you've been warned, and I know what I'm doing. So I'm just going to go ahead and create those animations regardless. So what we do is first we make sure that we've got some kind of objects that we will be animating. Make sure that those are not groups but objects, so that's going to be a plus for us. Also, what would be a cool idea is to go for effect pivot only and ensure that your pivots are going to be set in the right position. So either put them on the ground or slightly above the ground. I'm going to put them slightly above the ground, so that's going to give us a bit of a different weight, or we're going to have our gravity center revolving around that object, that part. So potentially our objects are going to be a little bit more stable once we drop them down. So let's put them slightly into the air, because why not? A couple of centimeters or meters. And first we're going to do a quick pre-animation or pre-test. So now the objects are slightly above the ground. Just for you to see what where the ground is, we're going to put it here. I think we went a little bit well, too far with the height, because that's going to make them blow up from that height. Also, Łukasz, test out Alt2. Now, let's go ahead and continue. Here, I'm going to right-click on the empty space on my menus and go all the way to find the Mass Effects toolbar. This is pretty easy to continue with. Now, the easiest thing you can do is understand the 3 options here. Set this object as dynamic rigid body. So now this is going to be an object that we will be animating. And also, once it's animated, or it's going to be, let's say, informed that it will be moving, now we're going to be changing this object, the floor, to static rigid body, which is essentially going to be just an object that we will be bouncing other objects off of. So it's not going to be moving, it's not going to be anything other than just some sort of surface. Okay, so this is going to be super duper easy for us, right? Now, you can see that there's some kind of spider web on top of this object. This is so-called shape type convex. So long story short, because simulating all of those polygons in here would be very time consuming, the convex is creating a grid simplifying the mesh. In some cases you don't want to use it, but in such case this is the perfect use of it, because we're, instead of simulating billions of polygons, we're going to be just simulating approximately 36 per object. Now what we're going to just go for is Okay, hello from Tunisia. Hello to you too. Now, I see that the chat is going so fast. I am so thankful for you guys. Um, is there a war between VizAcademy and RenderCamp? Not at all. We just have the same schedule, that's all. So I think that the guys from RenderCamp are great, and I cannot say a bad word about them. So if you could go to whoever is streaming right now, say hello to them. They're great. So let's continue now. Dynamic rigid bodies, right? Here we go. We've got our pre-simulation, so I'm just going to click on that, and we're going to see how they work. And that looks awful, especially the bounce, right? That's not exactly what I would like to see in an animation of that caliber. So here we're going to be clicking on our toolbar, and we're just going to go for Mass Effects tools. And here, the first thing you want to always adjust is the side steps. So the sub steps, think about it this way. The sub step 0 means that between each frame there's no in-between step, but set to 1 is just like the interpolation. See, this is the reason why I showed you the interpolation, because in between each each keyframe, we're going to have additional keyframes. So in this case, 12 is going to be enough, but typically you want to set this to slightly higher value, so this animation is going to be slightly simpler. And now we're going to go ahead and make sure that we continue. So the engine here, you don't need to, but you could use multi-threading and advanced settings. Here, this is pretty much going to be all about the bounce. So we're going to be bouncing our objects later on. Let's test if the animation or pre-animation looks a little bit better now. So what we're going to observe is that the objects no longer vibrate and they're no longer weird. So at least that, right? But they're still kind of boring with their movements. So in order to get that kind of effect that we wanted, we're going to have to go through the following. First, we're going to select our objects and slightly add some sort of rotation. So you can see that my computer is struggling a little bit right now, because I'm streaming and talking to you at the same time, plus I'm clicking. So it's way slower than if I would be doing this without you. So sorry for that. And now we're just going to continue, and here we go, because all our objects are now going to be neatly dropping down to the ground. And here we go. Let's just allow them. Oops, one went a little bit too far, so we can just try moving it a little bit so it's not going to, let's say, collide with the other elements, because that's why it dropped. But the reason why we set our pivot to the point where we want it is to just make sure to use one very important property, and that is going to be related to the object's pivot. And I believe it's going to be the most important of all. So that's why we want to have that center of gravity closer to the ground so they do not fall. So here we're going to go to the advanced, and in here we've got the use pivot. So that's going to be our pivot, that's going to be the gravity center, and our object is going to be a little bit harder to break or to make it fall. I love this animation. It looks very nice. It's already looking fun. If you want to, you can also apply some additional velocity or additional spin. So velocity is the speed, and inertial spin is literally how much the objects are going to be rotating. So rotation is really cool if we apply it in, but I typically don't do it because it's kind of not needed that much. But you can see that the animation is now playing out a little bit differently. Okay, so let's clear this out because I don't need it. And now we're going to make sure to bake our animation. So here we go. We just bake it out, and because that's going to be rather important. So baking your animation means creating keyframes for it. So right now, this is and all of those objects are playing out the way we want it. So we could also store in cache our objects animation or make them morph, but long story short, this is how we can make those objects move, and that's it. That's how we can create those animations. If we lower the gravity, we're going to slow down our objects, let's say dropping speed. So let's just go for lower gravity. Those are going to be very slow now, so let's go for 300 instead. because it's going to be easier that way. And now let's unbake all, and we're just going to bake all again with different gravity, so they will be not only falling a little bit slower, but also will be bouncing a bit more. So you can see now that still 3 times lower gravity is still a lot, but it's looking great. So there's a trick that we can try pulling off. We can delete half of those, right? Like that. So we're just making sure to remove those keys. Can I please? No, I think I cannot. So I'm going to have to cache this to make this possible, because what I planned to do is to make sure that we delete. Oh, now it allowed me. So if I select this and grab this at the bottom, I can now stretch this animation a little bit further. So this is going to literally allow me to get a little bit slower animation overall, and it broke. Okay, so it's just the magic of the live streams. So we're going to move on to the next element, and that's going to be our clove simulation. So let's make sure to go through it, because the animation for all the falling cookies were done the same way. So we just went for one of those bowls and put a couple of cookies on top of one another and just allowed them to fall, and we did that a couple of times up until we were satisfied with how the cookies fall. It sounds really weird, right? It's so super simple to do such things in 3ds Max. Now let's just continue, because there's a lot to go over. Will this video be saved, or it will be only temporary? So again, I'm going to be honest with you, it all depends on how it goes, and probably we might be deleting it. Depends. So at the moment, I'm just going to say, let's continue and keep watching. Can you tell us about general rules of tricks on how to render videos in 3ds Max, or it doesn't take forever? Ksenia, yeah, I think I can, but I'm going to talk just a bit about general tricks, and I'm going to be moving on to our how's it called, member section, to go in depth about some of the tricks for longer renders. Now, what I want to do next is grab one of the tables and just do a quick clove simulation. So a clove simulation is something that you probably remember from our previous webinars, but let me just reiterate, because this object is slightly too dense for what we need. Well, honestly, it's not, but I don't want to overdo it. And in many cases, overdoing something is the worst thing you can do. So just to quickly optimize this object, I'm going to select one edge, geometry, and we're going to modify selection and just go ahead and loopity-loop. So half of the edges were deleted. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing with one random lucky edge, loopity-loop. Okay, and now we've got way less edges to work with. So now I'm going to detach this part. So now the element is neatly optimized for my needs. Okay, so what do we do next? It's very simple. We simulate. But what do we simulate? We first need some kind of cloth or other object that will be thrown on our table. So typically you don't want to go for something that's going to be too big and too dense. Please make 2 or 3 tests before you apply this, because honestly it's going to be one of those things that might take forever if you overdo it. So first type in conservative values like 50 by 50, but later, if you know what you're doing, or at least you like what you're doing, make sure to continue. So first we're going to go for a clove. Not M-clove, the M-clove is the Mass Effects clove. Here's the regular one. Here we're going to go for object properties, and here we have the plane, right? So that's the throw that I'm going to be putting on the element first. Now, I'm just going to make sure to go for clove. And in presets, just to make this simpler, I'm going to go for some sort of cotton. So what are those all options here? So to put it really simply, those are resistances. Resistance to bending and creating curves, resistance to stretching, resistance to compression, to shearing, the density, damping. Damping is how much the object is going to be slowing down. So the higher value is going to be definitely a little bit slower. Now, just so you know what we're doing, I would like to make sure that we also talk about this cloth, because this is what we're going to be creating now, because maybe you might not know it yet. So here we go. Okay, so I think we now know what we're doing. Okay, here, this is the cotton, and we're going to just clickety-click on this. So, okay, no, not yet, because we still need some object to be colliding with. So add objects, we click on object. We've got table and object 001. This is the object I need because the table is the leg. So I just want the top of it, and I know for a fact, because I detached this object a second ago, that this is going to be the thing. So we add this in and click it as a collision object. Here we've got the depth, offset. Offset is how much skin does this object have before we allow anything to go through it. So that's simple. We got our collision object and our plane that's going to be our cloth. So we now know pretty much everything. To ensure that we have higher quality, make sure to also go for subsampling a little bit higher. Also, you want to go for self-collision and set it to at least 2, because self-collision means that your cloth is going to be dangling, but it's not going to be, let's say, intersecting with itself, so it is going to be better. Now, we've got two options. Cloth for simulate local, which is going to mean that we're going to be using some slightly lower quality simulation, and sometimes it's going to look really weird, but it is going to be good enough to at least understand if the objects are going the right way. And in my case, I kind of like it, so I'm going to reset the state, and on top of this, to enhance our object, I would have to go back through the full system, because now every property is going to be reset, and I don't want to do it. I'm just going to apply Turbo Smooth on top of it, and instead I'm going to add a cloth, and now we're going to simulate the regular one. It is still going to be slightly lower quality, as if we would be using, let's say, higher density object, but it's going to be good enough for us to understand how it is done. And in this case, it is going to give us a bit of this nice silky looks. Do you have this problem when silk cloth preset generated random spikes out of some points on polygon? What can be the reason for this? So Xenia, the reason for it is too low value of subsample, because your cloth is going to be very stretchy. It's going to be easily intersecting with one another, and the vertices are going to slightly stretch here, stretch there, and then suddenly the 5th or 15th vertex is going to get to a supersonic speed, and at that point it's going to spike out of existence. So instead, you want to increase the subsample value, and you absolutely need to also turn on the self-collision and put a higher number there. I recommend values around 8 in self-collision and around 24 in subsamples, and that's going to take a while, but it's going to save you from rocket or spiky silk. Now, I think this is done, so we now have our simulated object, and you can see how nicely it's dangling. So all we need to do now is simulate or create our camera, right? So the camera movement is extremely easy, and I don't think it's going to be that hard to do. So let's make sure to just go ahead and talk about it real quick. So what I want you to do is create a camera, which is going to be any camera. I prefer using Corona cameras because typically those are the easiest to work with. I want this to be targeted camera because, again, I'm going to be looking at the table and I want this to be moving on some sort of a curve or a slope. So here I'm going to be moving this object. Okay, so it drops down. I could also apply some additional spin on it to pretend that I care, but I won't. So the camera is going to do enough of a movement. So here we go. We're going to make sure that we go here, move our camera there, and we can use curves for that nice effect. Okay, so I think we're looking at it from a very bad angle because it's too flat on the table, but it's still going to give me the effect that I'm looking for. So now all I need to do is make sure to get into some curves, but curves are kind of complicated in most of the scenarios if we don't use any path or path to form on our models. So I'm going to show you why. So here I'm going to go ahead and use Curve Editor. If I select my camera, you're quickly going to notice that the position X is just linear. All of those positions are linear, and it's going to be very hard for me to set up the right values because those are two different values. I mean, it's just hard to grab one, give it a bit of ease in and ease out, or work with the right Beziers to just make this as slow as possible or as fast as possible in my case. So it is going to be slightly weirded out, but it's just, it's going to look like this. First, it's going to be very slow, then it's going to speed up, and it slows down again, because this is the amount of movement. So this is from 0 to 200, the movement, and this is the time frame. So we go for low values, low values, low values, high values, low values, low values, low values, low values. So this is pretty much how you can work with curves, but that is going to be more, we go through it on our training, especially now when our animation is being recorded for our groups, but the animation plays out really nice. I'm going to tell you just one thing that I think some of you will love, so that's going to be the animation presets and pretty much some sort of settings that you need to be aware of and what you want to do before you commit to to any sort of rendering, because I think it's going to be fair to do so. So first thing first, we're going to go ahead and click on render setup and analyze what we need. First, ask the question, where I'm going to be posting this. Is it going to be Instagram? Is it going to be a social media? Is it going to be on my website? Where is this going, and why do I need this animation? So once again, animations like this are super cool for your viewers to look at, especially if you're marketing your company and you're trying to gain more clients, right? Because animation currently is the key, and it's not about just showing your logo all the time. It's about kind of creating something cool, and I think I'm going to be honest with you. I love what we did here. It's fun, it's cool, it kind of makes you think, what did I just watch? And it doesn't just scream logos. So that's what I want, right? So first, let's assume that it's social media such as TikTok or Instagram. 1350 is the height of your render, and the width is going to be 1080 because that's the phone value. Yes, we can go higher, but there's really no need for us to go for that. And just so you understand, and so that it's really clear for everybody, become a member, because soon we're going to be doing more Rhino content, which is going to be super duper cool. But apart from available dates, I would like to just quickly remind you that since our school is now running the animation webinars, because the lessons are being recorded as we speak, it's a very tedious process because I'm super slow with it, but I'm trying to make them as good as possible. So if you want, you can check out our animation program where we go through some of those effects that you can see here. All of them are explained, and we talk about the elements that you see here. To some extent, I'm not showing you each pixel, but I am giving you the general idea how it's made, and I guide you through all of the tools necessary for that. So let's go ahead and go back to our animation presets that I wanted you to be aware of. So here we're going to be going for that, right? So output size is very important. Now, something that I want you to be aware of is that a big killer of your rendering is often going to be your caustic solver. So turn it off if you don't need it. If it's not a must, turn it off. Then make sure that you go for the world size units, and in some cases, if the animation is going to be slightly dynamic and you don't need to your viewers to zoom in on objects, go for 2.5 or even 3 in here. This is going to ensure that whatever you do, your animation is not going to be slowed down by displacement. Displacement is a very well-known culprit when it comes to slowing down your rendering. Then I recommend you to test your scene the following way. You check out your, okay, this is a really bad camera positioning. You test out one frame like this. You check how much quality you're gaining out of one frame in what time. I typically try to set a pass limit, something around 25-ish, just for the sake of having this. Also, remember to set up your denoising. Quite contrary to what a lot of people believe, high quality is actually higher quality than any AI generated version. But in this case, there's a reason why I prefer using NVIDIA GPU over the high quality. And the reason is very simple. Let's render out one frame real quick. So we're going to be able to just get into it, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So either it's going to be 15 passes or it's going to be the percentage. So here, once I start rendering, we're going to first see this moment, computing the GI. That's also something that takes approximately 15-20 seconds, and it's going to take each frame, right? So I'm going to eliminate that in a second for you guys. So we're just going to have the main element or the main version just done. Hi from Mexico City. So meanwhile, while I am rendering, I'm going to take some questions. So if you could repost your questions or ask them now, I would love to answer. So now let's see if we've got some questions indeed in here. The general rules of tricks. Yes, I am, Ksenia. So Mike, please don't do this stream for member only after this stream. Ranesh, well, I'm trying to give out as much knowledge as I can for you guys. So there are some topics that need to be for members only, because we need to have some extra budget to operate and to be able to create more content, because I'm trying to make sure that you understand that by you supporting our channel, we're able to pump out more of those videos for you. And this is something that I want you to be aware that we're in the end doing this for you guys, but you can help us by, well, clicking the members. Well, did you see that? Did you see that? The denoising part, it took approximately extra 5 to 10 seconds, right? That was a lot. And if we're going to be doing this as well for the each frame, and the thing that you want to do is test how much do you really need to render for each frame, because not all frames need to be, let's say, dynamic. I mean, they can have just a little bit of noise in them, because noise is also realistic. Sometimes you actually add noise to your renders to make them look less less artificial. So this is going to be a very cool thing, because now we know that all we need is approximately 8% of noise, and I'm going to go for 17% 17 passes. So that cuts my time by a lot, because there was half of the rendering still ahead of me. So I'm going to just go ahead and go to scene, go for 15. That's great. Now, the thing that I want you to test out, maybe not this time because I'm in the override version, is the maximum depth, because sometimes lowering this by 2 or 3 values is going to also give you a significant boost in your rendering. So it all depends on the amount and quality of reflections that you have in your scene. So lowering this value may help you a little bit. But the actual trick that you want to start using is the following. Once you're done, your scene is more than set up. and you know that you're going to be now just moving mostly your camera, you can be moving your objects, but not a lot, not some sort of explosions, not some sort of very intricate light changes, not that. It's all about just your objects. So now we're going to go here to save and load in the UHD cache performance. Save and try to append. So try to append and load. Then save file, and we're going to be saving our file to save this pre-calculated cache. So remember what I told you about that icky 19-second thing where the GI was computing? That's the icky part, right? So we're going to go for GI UHD cache, and we're going to be naming it restaurant. So now when it's done, I'm just going to do this, go to scene, type in 1 second, and we're going to go to common, and in the range I'm going to change the range from let's say to 70, and every 10th frame, so every 10th frame I'm going to be calculating the GI. So here we go. I'm just going to not save the sentence of the images, so I don't care about it yet, and we're just going to do this. Do you always animate the objects first and then the camera? Yes, I typically adjust the rest because it all depends on what exactly I'm doing, right? So please excuse me the fact that part of my model is currently inside of a flower pot because I wasn't looking when I was doing this animation. So I might adjust it, but the computing of GI is taking approximately 19 seconds. That's a lot, right? So we want to make sure that we don't overdo it. Also, auto adjust is no longer going to be a valid way of doing this. Have you found any good AI tools that would help you add keyframes and reduce the rendering time? Ben, yes, and I would say the best one so far is Runway, but you might want to also test out the Luma AI. So if you want, you can DM me, I can send you everything that you might need. Hey Mike, love your love and support from India. Your YouTube session is very helpful. I really learned a lot from those sessions. Thank you, Rishab. Sorry, I'm so bad with names. I need to, I'm just bad. Sorry for that, but thank you for kind words. Pio, I really like your tablecloth floating animation, so I come to see it now. Will you finish it to the final? We might, if you want to, but this is going to be probably in the next section, because right now we're going to be moving into a short break, and I'm going to get back to you guys in 15 minutes with our members. We're going to be going through the colors, a little bit more lighting, and we're going to try to get into the nitty-gritty of the animations. So what I'm doing right now is I'm calculating for just 1 second the animation itself, and I'm calculating the grid for the light. So now if I'm going to stop it at any time, you're going to notice that we're getting closer. So I'm just going to go through this process to show you the most important trick of all to save you that extra time on rendering. So now this was the most important trick, because here we go. We're preparing the last computation of our GI, and in a second you're going to see what it's all about. So now you cannot see much because the render quality is awful, but what we just did is we created this file that is our UHD cache, and this cache stores 55 megabytes of our lighting information. It's a very powerful tool because now I no longer will be calculating this. I'm only going to be loading this from file, so it's no longer going to be saving, and because of that I no longer need to render each 10th frame, and on top of that I'm going to be able to now go a little bit higher with my quality if I want to, because I just saved a little bit of time. And to show you what that means, I'm going to start from 20th frame, 25th frame, and look what happens once I start rendering. We're no longer going to be computing the GI, so the green part is no longer going to be there. I just need to save this. So yes, so the green part, the computing GI parsing scene is here. computing GI is not here, so I'm instantly jumping into the calculation. All the lights are already pre-calculated, and thanks to that, the grid of the lighting is, let's say, based in the scene. I can start rendering instantly, and I don't need to fall behind, because even if each frame takes approximately, let's go for calculator. Now, sorry for it, for some reason it's in Polish, so yeah. Anyway, let's just do the quick maths. So the first time when we were rendering, we rendered this in approximately 2 minutes. So that was 120, right? So each of the GI took approximately 19 seconds. So minus 90. Okay, minus 19, it's going to require approximately 60 to 70 frames to look good for the 2 seconds. So that's a lot. So that's going to be this amount of seconds times 70. So now to calculate this, if we're going to be smart, this is how long it's going to take on a regular computer. Almost 2 hours, right? So this is going to be really good to be able to have the high quality, lower values. And if we work a little bit more with lower bumps, we're going to turn off add objects that do not need to be emitting, and we're going to also hide the elements that don't need to be high quality, optimize some of the objects using Pro Optimizer. I can cut this scene if I try. I can cut it to approximately 20 to 30 seconds per frame, but it's going to require a little bit of work on my side to get into it. How to use CRX effectively? You mean CXR, right? So what's the better, render directly in AVI or render sequence? Definitely sequence, always sequence, and put it together in After Effects. When I try rendering AVI file, it was complete. No, don't do AVI file. Typically it's going to, if one frame is off, you're going to be hunting for that frame. You're not going to be able to re-render it. It's a bad idea. And if you have the sequence, it's easier to pinpoint any mistakes, fix them without moving your camera or objects, and then re-render just one frame and stitch it together instead of redoing everything from scratch. So definitely never render into AVI. Thank you so much for this kind of content. You're welcome. I'm not an expert in 3ds Max, but this is truly completing me to join the okay. Thank you very much. So that was a nice trick there. Okay, so how to use CXR? Sir, I charged Corona window size by mistake, and how can I change it to be default size? How are we supposed to do it? Any help? So Akash, if you changed, there is no such thing as default, but if you went a little bit too far with it, and we're going to be, let's say, having the too big window, you can just double click on it, and it's going to instantly go to the minimum value you can get on your screen. So it's that, and you can go lower if you want to, but it's always going to try to adhere to your current zoom in on your image. So double click and it's going to try to do that. Zoom in, doing that. So it's really going to be that simple. And yeah, guys, see you in 10 minutes. We're going to just take a short break, and we're going to try to continue with this topic, but with more scenes, because I've got something super special for our members. So really quickly, before I go to join our second part, guys, if you want to, please make, if you want to see more content like this, and some of it is going to be members, some of it is going to be for everybody. If you want to see more of either content, make sure to leave a like, and once this webinar is done, I would highly appreciate if you could comment under every video or some videos, because it helps us a lot. Recently one of the videos blew up, and thanks to the comments, and I'm super grateful for that. So please make sure to subscribe and like our video videos. On top of that, make sure to also add a little bit of something from yourself, some emotes or whatever. And if you want to join our training, make sure to go to our available dates, and here you're going to be able to see everything. If you want to make sure that you also see the free models, sign up and go to the free section, because some of the free models were that we used here were also from our website, because I think you're going to enjoy some free content. Everybody likes freebies, right? And next thing is something that I would like to ask you, a big ask, I know, but become a member. It helps us, it helps our channel, it helps me get a little bit more time for the videos. So we're going to soon get even higher quality for you, and it's going to help everybody, because we're not only going to be creating members content, we're also creating the regular content as we did so far, but we want to kind of up our game, so help us with that, and this is going to help us fight the algorithm, I guess. So this is it for now, but see you in 10 minutes, because in 10 minutes today we're going to have our part 2 of this same webinar, where I'm going to go slightly deeper into the animations and the coloring of our scene, because there were lots of questions about the materials, so I want to talk about that, but you as members know exactly how it's done at this point, because we recently did a very similar scene, but this time I'm going to expand on those topics that you requested, so that's going to be great. Do I use Unreal? Yes, I do, but not so often, because I do love Corona after all. And thank you for your answer. I'm waiting for the V-Ray webinar. Best regards, one day and soon. Rufio, it's okay. Hello, Mo, and goodbye. See you in a couple of minutes. Bye-bye, guys.